there.
How you doing?
Hi, so I'm the one that talked to you for like 53 minutes the other day about when you said you think it's like email and stuff.
Right. Do you want to come in and meet for a couple minutes?
Yes.
So I've only got like 10, 15 minutes though.
And then maybe we can just be able to schedule like a deeper appointment. You'll be able to get an idea of the scope of it.
You want to give me all that stuff?
No, I'm not giving you any of it. I want to show you why we might want to schedule a longer appointment. So. Okay. Yeah. Can she come back?
Oh, sure. More the merrier. Okay. This is Jessica. She's my sister.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You follow Jessica. Let's go to that one that was they called the murder room for a while.
Okay. Why'd they call it a murder room?
Because we had
Oh. And then like we talked about, Ron, on the phone, that, you know, I would come in to you, and it's okay if we have to schedule like a different date for a longer appointment. So it's just in person is just more comfortable for me to.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Quite the box there.
Yes, I've actually, and then I've, you know, kept very good markings of everything. So basically, I witnessed crimes by City Administrator Bill Reynolds, and
I heard you had a sign out in your yard that said Bill Reynolds is trying to kill me, or?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, that's what someone told me.
And that's part of the problem, is that sometimes you gotta go right to the source.
Right.
And here,
That's you.
no, so the signs on the outside of my house say, I witnessed crimes
Okay.
by City Administrator Bill Reynolds. And then I go into a lot of the different statutes and violations that partook.
Okay.
And then also put down the names of everybody that had to do with potential conflicts of interest and not doing their part to assist with making sure things go forward. And this happens to just be a serious topic. It is conflict of interest. It's conflict of interest for even yourself and everything else. And it's one thing when people get stuff done. It's another thing when I was told that I would be having investigations, and instead I was written an illegal letter by somebody of conflict of interest, which is the city attorney, because he's in that position, stating that he had the authority to be the investigator, and he had the authority to say that he's investigated and he's closing the case. And in this situation, the probable cause is severe. I tried to prevent the gas line from getting hit. And in my police reports that they write about me, they manipulate all of the wording, and she's gotten to go through it too, that they keep referring to, oh, just my property. But the reality is, on my property, I witnessed them doing a cover-up. I tried to prevent the next gas line hit, which was on May 23rd. And their police reports just do everything they can to try to make May 23rd not exist. And I basically wrote at 2 a.m. in the morning on that day saying, please come out to my property and discuss these very serious issues and everything. And I was offered for them to do that by them as well. And so it's just absurd that, like, I want to fulfill that, and then I'm like just cut off from it. But the reason I was losing sleep, and that because they mentioned it again in my police reports over the 10 different ones that have happened, and they say, oh, this lady, she's saying she's losing sleep, and they just want to frame it mental health. But the reality is, I was losing sleep because I didn't want the other citizens in my community, 5 blocks or so down the road, to be exposed to the gas line hit, especially one that would run possibly parallel with the gas line. I don't know if you've seen what these explosions look like. Mounds View, the commissioner there he's got some wonderful videos that it just shows the fireballs and stuff. So that's why I was losing sleep. And it ended up happening. It didn't have the fireball.
But there was the leak?
No, it wasn't a leak. It was, I tried to prevent it, because I was born and raised here. I happen to know the history of the town of, like, we have aerial views of our town, like, and so I can look at those aerial views and I know, oh, okay, Howard's Addition was built in the 1980s. That's where you're gonna have to add on to your existing infrastructure. So clearly the blueprints of the pipelines would have an update on at a later time. Same thing with my property. There's a house across from my property. It wasn't built until 2005. So on my property, the reason that the boring happened without it being marked is because they marked where it was in the 1970s. They didn't take into any consideration of, like, oh, but a house that was built in 2005 had to cross over to the alley easement, and so, and then I had.
I don't wanna cut you off, because I know we're short of time,
Yeah,
and we
so
can
let's
possibly schedule
schedule.
something in the future, but what ultimately are you looking for this office to do? What's the bottom line?
Criminal charges, and so that's where conflict of interest is gonna come into play. They have
So I
decimated.
don't have a conflict of interest.
Okay. That'll be determined on the quality of your work, and you understand that. I have had just death threats coming in like crazy. They have been letting me know that they know my name, my address, but they also knew what only very few people could possibly know, that my business was connected to this address. They also are sending me this to somebody whose public image looks vegan, and part of what this is like.
This is just a
like,
renewal notice for a magazine.
I didn't sign up for it. This was the third one that I got, and they just started coming in after everything. But this is just one of many types
Right,
of.
but you don't think this could just be marketing by the magazine trying to get you to sign up?
The story goes so much bigger. On May 19th, I had also did an informant report, and I said on May 19th, I said, look, this is information about hazardous waste being transferred improperly to the Scott County area, and then explaining how that happened. That person is tied to Josh Lundberg, the owner of New Ulm Scrapyard, who happens to be tied to John Kotten. John Kotten is, millions of dollars of corruption and transient organized crime and everything else. And so some of the threats that I'm getting are most likely because somebody wanted to leak some information.
Why do you think that magazine is a threat?
Josh Lundberg is friends with the third most profitable pork processing family in the nation, and I basically think that they want to show me, like, you want to get rid of a body, that's how you want to get rid of a body. You just process it, grind it up into little patties. It's
Are you a vegan?
My public profile basically shows that I would be a vegan. I'm not a vegan.
I'm just asking because you mentioned that earlier about why you would get this.
So my public profile, I do a lot of, encouraging people to. I'm not against people eating meat. I'm just, I just think people should eat meat that's that they know what that's been eating and how it's been raised. That's basically.
And Kelly, you said this was related to a business you used to have?
Well, I've had to close it down because of the fact that they've been tampering with my mail. The United States Post Office. It shows them my package was supposed to go to Maine. It shows that it gets to Pennsylvania, and suddenly it shoots down to Florida, of all places, in the Pensacola area.
So again, just because we're short on time,
Yeah.
so your ultimate
Pressing charges, crimes.
press charges
The crimes that we're looking at.
Bill Reynolds, obviously.
We're talking when you actually
And
go
who?
through this case. So, Taylor Leonard and Aaron Belfance, but that's where I have evidence that says a lot more stuff needs to be investigated to try to figure out just to what level or extent, because here's what it comes down to is Bill Reynolds is the administration over the technology there, which means somebody can write in whatever reports they want, he can go in and he can overlay, So to what degree are these officers actually guilty? Because what their police reports say, and then what their body cameras, because I've got the USB and everything, what their body cameras actually show, and then I made my own recordings.
Is there any reason why Bill Reynolds would have it out for you?
Yes, and it extremely high motive. So the emails show, I tried to prevent the gas line from getting hit. It shows him sending me just a ridiculous email defaming me, saying nobody go to her property, nobody go there. Well, he didn't want people to go there because I had evidence that he had already done a cover up at my property.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gas line got hit 2.5 hours later. That's one piece of his probable cause. Secondly, after it got hit, I requested an emergency session with City Council for the removal of Bill Reynolds and for a hearing to go over the evidence that I had. That information was leaked to Bill Reynolds. I was informed of that by the mayor. And so then I made a police case on the 25th, going over and starting the evidence, starting a large amount of evidence. We didn't get to finish it. I was told by Taylor Leonard that a sergeant would be finishing up with me to go over the rest of the evidence. I contacted him a few days later, and
Did Aaron?
at this point in time, there's 10 different sergeants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from what the police reports are saying, it looks like Taylor Leonard was the one not being forthright, and then as people get added to it later on, that you know that I know that you have to rush.
Yeah, no,
So
let's
schedule what would make I think, you know, when I've gone over this with very prominent people that you know very well.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, obviously I'll wait to give out, you know, information for that stuff, but when I was going over stuff with them, it took 2 hours. Some of them took 4 hours to go over stuff. So
Well, I think you gave me enough information. You're right. Can start, you know, without your documents, start looking into some stuff. And why don't you call me in a couple weeks if you haven't heard from me, and we'll get something set up.
no, I want to just get something set up today, if that's okay.
No,
Just,
I don't. No, I'll have to. You know,
Because
I'm very busy. I don't have.
Because if you're going to go through everything,
I'm not. I can tell you right now, I'm not going to go through all of that stuff with you sitting here. I would need
No.
copies of it and have it left with me, because
No,
I'm
but
not going to go through it with you page
what
by page.
I'm worried about is I'm worried that you're just going to fall victim to the same false narratives that they've said. Will you say what you've seen that was not true in here?
I mean, when they showed the,
How they're falsely framing it, like that their police reports are not accurate and they are deeply misleading.
correct,
and
correct,
they're criminally misleading.
when we're watching,
Well, I get it, but I could still figure stuff out. I'm pretty smart.
With them withholding so much from you, that's the only problem. But, so, can we just put me on, pencil me in? Is that a possibility, to pencil me in?
No, I'm gonna have to call you in a few weeks, or if you haven't heard from me, call me back. And
Can I come here again in 2 weeks?
yeah, but like I said, I'm not gonna sit with you for 4 hours and go through that stuff page by page.
I was just letting you know how long it took to go through.
You're gonna have to make copies and leave that with me, or whatever you wanna do it, but. Okay, 'cause-
And honestly, 2 weeks gives me a chance to sort of prepare you a file,
Sure,
that similar to like the ones I've prepared.
yeah, whatever you think
that
is
other people have.
the most relevant for me to look at.
Okay.
All right, let's do that.
And then, but in 2 weeks, you know, if you were to not do anything for me, then it would be like the conflict of interest would be what worried me, just so.
No, if you haven't heard from me, give me a call.
Okay. Awesome, Ron.
All right.
Thank
Good.
you for your time today.
Sure.